got MaddHatterson with us today.
Heyo.
He's gonna be helping to decide where all these movies should go. We got some criteria we talked about beforehand. We're gonna base it on how much we liked the movie, its general Rotten Tomatoes score, and then whether or not we would see a sequel to that movie. Is that right?
Yep.
First things first, it looks like Batman and Robin.
This is the, like, mid-90s, it's the first Tim Burton Batman, I think.
Is there more than one?
I think Tim Burton did 2 Batmans. I could be wrong.
I thought he only did this one.
You're more the Batman expert than I am, so...
So here's the thing, I'm super into Batman, but more on the comic sides, really, than the movies, so... I have seen the movies, but I think there's only one, but I could be wrong. Now you have me second guessing it, so now I'm not sure. But I think there's only the one Tim Burton Bat. How did you feel about that movie?
Despite George Clooney being, like, the
12%?
worst Batman.
Is this good or bad? Is this dog shit? I think this is bad.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the greens are these rotten.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's 12% dog shit. That's what I'm getting.
Really
oh,
bad.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Yeah. Well, it is universally accepted that George Clooney is the worst Batman.
You can't see my camera. But I have the fucking... I'm showing the Batman and Robin Mr. Freeze exclusive pop that I have.
I was young, so I remember really liking that movie.
You know, honestly, I remember liking it as well. I don't remember thinking, oh man, that's the best movie ever, but I do as a kid remember, you know, I didn't hate it. Now, I would probably hate it. I would say usually I would put it at like maybe a C movie.
Yeah.
But the Rotten Tomatoes one is making me want to put it at a D. And I don't think I would ever want to see a sequel to this movie.
Not
Not anytime soon.
Casting, if they kept the same casting, then no, I definitely would not like to.
Yeah, relive that.
George.
I don't need to relive that.
Anyone who's in the biz who may happen upon this, never, ever, ever, ever.
Never, never, never.
Never, ever, never, never.
Never, ever.
Make George
ever.
Clooney Batman again.
Yeah,
Ever.
That's a mistake.
Under any circumstances. The world could be at risk, and the only way to save it.
I mean, that's a pretty strong. This is a pretty strong statement. I'm almost feeling like you have to put it at an F after that fucking statement.
Honestly, that's where I would probably put it as of now. Between the Rotten Tomato
You
scores.
went from what a drastic change in like a minute's time. You went from I remember it fondly from a child to.
As a child,
it's the worst thing to ever happen to Batman.
Fondly, I just remember being a kid and like seeing this movie and going, yeah, Batman, oh, action, boom, oh, Mr. Freeze, the entire building, what? Oh,
that sounds fondly to me. That sounds fun.
Like, thinking back on it, like actually remembering through some of the scenes of the movie and just George Clooney's.
Yeah, it was Clooney.
I'm okay with the F rating on Batman and Robin. Sorry, Batman and Robin. Not sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I would have put it at a D, but at your speech, I'm willing to put it at
Swayed.
Yeah.
Swayed.
Alright. So now we got Spider-Man Far From Home, which you have said you haven't seen.
And that's the one with the Mysterio I have not seen.
Well, let's do Homecoming, because that one is because that's gonna be the one that we have seen. It's technically the first one of this. Now, I will say, I'm gonna put this out there, and you can hate me for this, you can love me for this. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. It's honestly, I would put if I had to rate all of the Spider-Man movies ever, this would be one of my lowest picks.
I personally enjoy the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
This is
I think
most people agree with you.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Here's the thing. I don't dislike Tom Holland. I just don't think... I feel like it's overhyped. That's what I mean. I feel like there's nothing that he's done that I felt like really made me like love the character more or pulled into the character.
I believe he is the best like blend of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Like, he's not the best Peter Parker, right. He's not the best Spider-Man, but together he is like the best like overall package.
Right.
You know?
And I think we've seen when Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man, I think he did probably the best job of portraying how Spider-Man acts when he's Spider-Man, like the smartass comments and and I think that Tobey Maguire portrayed Peter Parker the best. And I think that's part of why those original Spider-Mans were so good, is because you were really pulled into who he was behind the mask, because Tobey Maguire's performance as Peter Parker was really good, and so you really cared about Peter Parker, not just Spider-Man.
Well,
I think a big downfall to this was that he was like in the shadow of Iron Man.
I was gonna bring this up actually. Like, it doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie until like the very end.
I would give. So me personally, if I had to rate this, I would put it as a C movie, because I would say that I wasn't drawn into it. There was nothing that I really liked about it. There were some things that I didn't like about it, like him being overshadowed and all that yada yada-ness. But I would say that I would watch a sequel of it. I did.
I would put it closer to a B. It was a good movie. It had great potential within the MCU.
Well, you feel that way, and so does 92% of Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm willing to budge and push it up to B. So,
slightly higher
critics, but lower audience. But Far From Home was quite a bit higher audience.
Yeah.
Almost as high. Truthfully, I thought Far From Home was better. So if you put... I don't know if it's A good, though. It depends. It depends where we start putting some of these other movies, but like, I would put it above the way they portrayed Mysterio. And Jake Gyllenhaal's performance as Mysterio was like really awesome. It was just a pretty solid movie, I would say. Like, I mean, I would be almost inclined to. I would even put it in an A movie, because I would say that honestly, it was definitively better than this movie to me. Catwoman. When Catwoman came out, you know, there wasn't a lot of like superhero movies. It wasn't like today. Like, people today, like, there's a superhero movie or a superhero show coming out every month or every couple weeks or some shit, you know?
Right.
Like, it's oversaturated now. Like, back then, there was only like a superhero movie maybe once a year, and maybe even less than that. It's not that good of a movie, but because there isn't a lot of superhero movies, it was acceptable. You know what I mean? It's kind of at the beginning of the superhero boom, like when they had kind of just realized that superhero movies like can do really well.
And here's I love that they do portray her as this kind of anti-hero. So she...
It's a stinker. Baby, it's a stinker.
I actually already knew this rating because I particularly enjoyed this movie, and not for some of the reasons that everyone else does.
Here's the thing. In 2004, I was 12. So Halle Berry being really hot when I was 12, it really did something for me for this movie. So to me, I would put it at a C movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was a bad movie. And I actually, when it was on TV, would usually rewatch it.
I had it on DVD, so I've seen Catwoman quite a lot. Yeah. I'd give it a C. I wouldn't want to see a sequel though.
No, see, that was the thing for me, is like that's the only thing that would push it down, is I wouldn't want to see a sequel. But this people may be unhappy about that one, but look, you gotta understand like our ages and the time when some of these movies came out.
You can fight me in the comics.
Right.
Or the comments.
Yeah, in the comics.
Yeah, fight me in the comics, bro.
First Hellboy.
This movie rocked my socks. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I would even put this at an A movie, honestly. I would put this above Far From Home because of how much, I loved this movie when it came out. Like, this movie, it doesn't hold up super well today compared to a lot of the way superhero movies are made. But this, again, was one of those superhero movies that came out when there wasn't a lot of superhero movies around yet. It wasn't oversaturated yet.
You've got fucking Ron Perlman as Hellboy,
he did such a good job.
And this is at this point where they're still using not just actual prosthetics for the costuming and stuff on their stars, but also practical effects, not CG. Like that moment when he flips the car, that's a practical effect. That's actually they're driving a stunt car that he slams and then they flip it, kind of thing.
I want to see what Rotten Tomatoes says.
But
wow.
Truly.
The critics actually rated it a lot higher than the audience. I don't think that sways my opinion or anything. I mean, I think it's an A movie. Not. I don't think it's the best movie ever. It's a movie I'd watch again. Like you said, it's a movie that I would want to see a sequel of, and I did see the sequel of.
I think to truly put something on our S tier in this list, it's got to be something. Because I'm thinking between us, we have to agree that it's a good movie.
Right, we have to agree it's a good movie.
We want to see a sequel of.
And it has to be
widely received.
It has to be a 90% in at least one of these, either audience or critic.
Yeah.
Were you happy with where it is? Top of A?
Yeah, you don't have. Yeah. Okay. Top of A is great.
Hellboy 2 actually received better by both audience and the critics.
I wasn't as impressed with the second Hellboy.
Neither was I. Okay, now here's the thing. I still think it's a good movie. Right here, good movie. There was something about the first one that
the second one didn't capture.
Yeah, it's there's something nostalgic about the first one for me. I mean, I'd be okay with putting it there.
I definitely would as well. I would love to see an actual sequel to that storyline with
I
Ron
would too.
Perlman.
I would see a sequel. Blade is fucking awesome. Well, let's just get. We all know that.
I am not a vampire fan. Don't really enjoy the vampire trope in general.
98, his first Blade. I thought it was at least 2000.
If you look at some of the like contemporary stuff, you know, this is like around the time of like the Matrix and stuff
Well,
like
Matrix
that.
is before. Well, Matrix is after
Yeah.
this. Matrix is 2000. This isn't about Matrix. This is about Blade. That's a different tier list. I would say Blade, for me, has a lot of nostalgia factor, and I'm into the vampire trope. Personally, I would put the first Blade up in the A tier. I would say that it's...
Yeah, no, for me, I'd put it at C, honestly.
I would put it at B, but I would put it higher than Homecoming.
I'll meet you there, at least.
Where's Blade 2? Because Blade 2 is actually dope. Damn, bro. Okay, so audience scores at least a little higher.
And Rotten Tomatoes said...
I think a lot of people that grew up watching Blade would say that Blade 2 was fucking awesome.
I'll give Blade 2 that it was definitely better than the first one.
Blade 2 is in my opinion the best Blade. So it automatically has to be the top of the Blades. And
Yeah.
I would go as far to and I want to put it in A. I would say Blade 2 is an A movie at least.
I'll give it that. They really expanded on his story, and it wasn't just constant kill fest.
Now, most Blade fans would say that at least when it came out, that Blade Trinity was the worst version of Blade movie.
Was that the one where he was up against the other clan of vampires?
Oh. This is the one where he teams up with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
I have rewatched all of those movies recently, and it's not as bad as... It's not fucking this bad. It's not 25% bad. Like, those guys need to chill the fuck out. Those guys put it down. Like, if it was their tier list, this shit would be right here next to Batman and Robin, and I don't think that is the case. I would say that it's more like a C movie, because it is a movie that I have seen multiple times.
Big Ryan Reynolds fan. Shout out to Ryan Reynolds. If you ever watch this, hit me up, MaddHatterson. You can find me on YouTube.
And
Whatever.
I love Ryan Reynolds too, but he made this movie worse.
Yeah, sorry, but this is not one of your better ones.
Well, and it's not because it's almost like better now because he's more popular for like that sort of, you know, what he does, but like
At the time, it was supposed to be this like darker, grittier.
Right, and it kind of was, yeah, it kind of just wasn't, it didn't really fit Iron Man.
I want to put this at S tier, but let's see what
If we were to put any movie up in an S, like for me, I would say Iron Man, and it is an S tier movie.
Absolutely.
Is this is 3, right? So there's 2. I don't think they put Iron Man 2. Did they put 3? Or they didn't put 2. They fucked up. Whoever made this tier list, you fucked up. You fucked up royally. You blew it. I hate you now.
watch it be on there, like we get to like the bottom of the list, and it's like, oh.
Iron Man 2 is actually a B movie. Even worse.
Yeah, actually, I kind of agree with that. Like, it was good, but kind of like with, what was it, Hellboy 2? Like, it had something that the first one just didn't capture.
So then Iron Man 3, I thought was a little bit better than 2, but still not as good as 1. I would put it there.
It's still not, like, it wasn't as memorable, in my opinion, as even the second.
I thought 3 was better than 2. And it is.
I'll give it to the audience.
It is higher rated than 2.
I'll give it to the audience that it might just be my recollection.
Suicide Squad. Now, this is not the new one. This is the... I mean, they're both newish, right?
I was not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody was, right? I mean, look, Jesus. Fuck. Now, for me... I mean, honestly... This is a Batman and Robin level movie for me. Honestly, it's worse. That's why it's next to it. That's why it's after Batman and Robin. I would rather, if you said, all right, right now, we have to watch Suicide Squad or Batman and Robin, I would pick Batman and Robin.
I enjoyed aspects of it, like I enjoyed Will Smith's performance. I enjoyed Margot Robbie's performance. It's probably why
It's probably the only redeemable fact about that movie, to be honest. She's the perfect person to be Harley Quinn, but it's not enough to carry that shit plot on her shoulders. Well, let's do Megamind since it's up here. Like I said, I haven't seen it. So before I look it up, where would you put this?
I would give it a decent C rating. It's a kid's movie. It's Will Ferrell. It's Tina Fey. It's your 30 Rock cast, pretty much. They're fucking hilarious.
Checks out. Wow. The critics agree 100% with the audience on this one. I can't disagree with that. You agree, the critics agree, the fucking audience agrees. I
don't think it was worth a sequel. It got one. I don't think it was worth it, but yeah, definitely a C. No. Yeah, better than Blade. Not as good as Cat. No, yeah, top of C.
Megamind is top of C. It's
give
better
it to
than
it over.
Catwoman?
Yeah, I give it to it over Catwoman.
Okay. Ant-Man.
I totally called Ant-Man's involvement in how everything played out. I want to get that out there before we get there because we're gonna do And the Wasp next, I'm assuming. But
for me, it sits around here. Somewhere in here.
I'd put it higher than Iron Man 2, but not Iron Man 3. So you bring in Paul Rudd as a superhero, which is just like...
Which is just Paul Rudd wearing a superhero costume, right?
Right. And it somehow works. Like, I think
it's not bad, it's just Paul Rudd wearing a superhero. By the time Ant-Man does come out, and honestly, like a lot of these movies that are in this right here, besides Blade, this is when the movies for superheroes have started to become oversaturated for me.
I'm happy with Ant-Man's placement. Is Ant-Man and the Wasp on here?
I think it is. Now, I saw this, but I didn't really pay much attention. To be honest, I got bored.
I actually enjoyed this one more than the first. It while it was maybe a little less like
How much more? Like way more, or just slightly?
I would put it higher tiered. Even I'd put it up a tier. Maybe not as good as Blade 2
An
or
A?
even like yeah.
So critics liked it more, but the audience liked it less. When I saw it, I just remember being like really bored, honestly. I think I just don't care about
And
Ant-Man. I
setup.
think that's my problem.
That's fair. It is just Paul Rudd in costume.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We actually watched this together.
For me, I would put Spider-Verse into the S tier.
S tier? Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I do really think this is a good movie. Plus, we really haven't had much exposure to Miles Morales when it comes to
Yes, that is so true.
like
As far
stuff,
as like
so
Spider-Man go, I truthfully, Miles Morales brings this unique style to like the Spider-Man brand
right.
that I just
Plus, this outfit is fucking sick.
so sick. I would truthfully put it above Iron Man.
Above Iron Man? Nah. I can't. You look. I let you put it in S, but I can't let you put it above Iron Man. You already put it above Blade 2 and Hellboy.
It is one of those movies that I truthfully believe will stand the test of time, even if the sequel.
It's good, but I don't think it's like changed the way they make superhero movies good, like the way Iron Man is. And I think this is harder to pull off than this is. I think it's harder to pull off a good live action superhero movie than it is to pull off a good animated superhero movie. Because there's lots of good animated. Like, if this tier list was like really, I mean, we have Into the Spider-Verse, but there is hella really good fucking animated Batman movies that would easily come up here into the S tier for me. I mean, I'll agree with you. I think it's up here. I think it's, you know what I mean? They're brushing necks, you know what I mean? It's, if it was a horse race, they'd both be fucking right there. I just think, personally, I think Iron Man is just like the point, you know, just slightly higher.
We'll leave it to the audience. Comment down below which you think is higher, Iron Man.
Yeah, you like Iron Man?
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. There you go. Now we're into Avengers. Jesus. So
Are we?
We're already there, yes.
Oh God.
First Avengers. Story time. Get super baked. We go to Dairy Queen. We get hella food. I eat all of that food and a lot of ice cream. Then we get baked again. Then we go to see the first Avengers. Then I almost fall asleep from a food coma during the Avengers. I still watched the whole movie, but it's like one of those things where it's like I wanted to sleep so bad that it was like really like miserable for me to like force myself to stay awake to watch this movie. So I have like a bad experience, I feel like, with the first Avengers movie. I mean, I feel like the entire MCU like universe like shit on the whole, but in particular the Avenger movies, I feel like they just don't do the whole justice. So for this movie, for me, this movie's down here, bro. Somewhere down here. And I know people will fucking hate me for that, but I fucking...
So the build-up to, like, the first Avengers movie, you know, you have all of your Iron Mans running, then you've got Thor, and then all of a sudden here comes, you know, Captain America, first Avenger. you know, and you're like, at that point, you're like, absolutely no, 100% guaranteed they're doing a fucking Avengers movie. So the hype for it was so real.
The hype was big. Wow.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so that scene. Oh my god, that scene.
This
Like
one?
the one up in the yeah. Like when they like all meet up in the forest for the first time and they're like duking it out. Just oh my goodness.
But I don't know that I would put it at an A tier. I don't think it's that good of a movie. This movie right here is just like sensational, like lowbrow entertainment. I mean, really, that's how I feel about this, specifically this Avengers movie.
I would say top of B tier is a suiting place for it because even in today's standards, like this was released when? Like 2016?
2012.
2012. Holy shit, are you for real? Okay, in less than a decade, the like CGI and stuff for this just doesn't. That for me is where it gets it is. Like even back then you could tell like there were some parts that were just like straight cheesy.
Oh no, that's Iron Man 2.
What?
That's dude. That thing was camouflaged.
What did I say? What did I say? It's probably on there, and as we get further
Dude,
down the list,
I'm
we're
so
gonna
sorry.
find
I'm so sorry to make her this list. You got me, dude. You got me.
Yeah. So, Ultron.
Now, I think Age of Ultron. Now, it actually has a worse score, but I think Ultron is better than fucking the first one. I think this is an A tier movie.
I am inclined to agree with you.
This is some of the first justice we get for the Hulk. Like this is some of the only truly Hulk scenes that we get out of the end, in my opinion. This would be like top of A for me. With the Hulk Buster and all those scenes and just Ultron in general. Like the way that his character was and
the creation of fucking Vision, the introduction of Scarlet Witch, like
it also sets off the whole tension of I feel comfortable putting it at the top of A. I don't think it's at quite S tier, but I think it is a very good movie. Infinity War. This is the best Avengers movie. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, this has to be an S tier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's better than Iron Man.
Yeah. I
this
would
is probably the best movie so far. Because this is, I mean, the introduction of Thanos, and I mean, Jesus Christ, this is just... This is what all of the build-up has been for.
Like a little fucking baby, I cried. Like, well...
I saw this movie with my mom, and my mom, who doesn't even like superhero movies, was like destroyed by this movie, dude. The audience put it at a 91. I am baffled that the critics have placed this movie lower than the first Avengers movie. That is unacceptable.
I can kind of get it. As from an objective view, depending on the criteria they have, I can understand. But I definitely think it's top of the S tier, best movie so far on this list.
Yeah, the only thing I understand about this rating is that these guys are fucking idiots. That's all I fucking understand. Now, I'm gonna be honest here. This next one is gonna upset people.
You weren't a fan of Endgame?
Let's see, look at this. Critics putting it at a 94%. Morons. What did I say? I said they're idiots. I wouldn't put it above Age of Ultron.
No, I definitely not.
My problem with it is that the premise of it and the entire introduction of the multiverse completely destroys the lore of the last fucking 20 movies that I watched to get to this movie. Even while I was watching this movie, like literally while I was watching it and they were revealing the plot, I was like having a fucking nerd conniption in my fucking seat in the theater. Like, if you introduce the multiverses, then dying doesn't matter. No. To more politely sum it up, is it falls into a lot of the same problems that I think the first Avenger movie had, which is that it's very obviously trying to appeal to people instead of just being a good superhero movie.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. And this movie falls into that with the whole, like, you know, in the middle of the fucking chaotic ass battle, there's just randomly an all girl power moment just for no reason, really. Other than to have that moment, really, is that was really the only purpose of it, was to have that moment in the movie of, look at all the girl superheroes doing something. It is just, for me, it's very fourth wall breaking. I mean, I have no problem with the female like superheroes being badass or having their moment, but it was just very, that's what I mean by it was obvious. It was very obviously pandering to me, to a point that it broke the fourth wall and like made me disconnected from the movie. Instead of being like, wow, this is an awesome moment, it was like, wow, this was obviously placed to make people think, wow, aren't women awesome? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how my brain works, is like, I think about like, then I'm thinking about the reasons why, the real world reasons of why this scene exists, rather than enjoying the scene for what it is.
Let's start at the first Thor.
Not a real strong start, in my opinion.
I enjoyed the humor that came with it.
I would maybe put this at like the top of the B.
And this is the introduction to the next Infinity stuff.
This got rated worse, but I actually thought this was a better movie.
So I liked that this one was in Asgard. The first one was really focused. It was a Thor movie, yes, but the focus wasn't really Thor. It was Jane Austen and her team who had like first contact with Thor. I would put it above the first Thor. See, because here you're gonna hate my next pick on this.
Ragnarok?
I think Ragnarok is A tier.
Here's my thing. I don't hate that. Now, where are you putting it in?
I would probably put it above Blade 2, but not as above Far From Home or the Hellboys. Maybe better than Far From Home, but I wouldn't put it higher than the Hellboys. So you bring in...
So, okay, if it was my opinion, I'd put it here. Because I think Blade's better than... I think that's a better movie than... But I think it's like this, right? This is what I would actually do.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, I think Blade's better than Thor, but I think Ragnarok is better than Spider-Man.
The style in which the script was written was commedia dell'arte, and for anyone who doesn't know, it's a style of script writing where you have a story and you have the characters, and you give the characters directions on kind of what they should be doing within the lines of the story at the time.
Very highly
Maybe
rated.
give them a line or two, but everything else is pretty much just improv off the cuff, you know, in your head. So it's very...
Here's my thing. Thor Ragnarok is the Space Jam of superhero movies. I don't know if that explains it well or not to you, but that's how I feel about that movie. It's not bad, but it's got a very Looney Tunes-esque level to it for me. Like, even though picture, like, look at it. Like, if I just told you, if I just put the word Space Jam over that instead of Thor Ragnarok, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the Space Jam. To see Thor and Hulk fight, and so that's obviously something, you know, we've all been waiting for, is for these two to figure out who's really the toughest. And we got kind of really teased. We didn't really get a throwdown, but you know, it's still entertaining. It's a really good movie for Thor, right? And it's a not so good movie for the Hulk.
Alright, so we're gonna start with
Amazing Spider-Man, first one.
I don't remember. I think I saw the first one, but I was so unimpressed that I never watched the second one.
I mean, we already know how I feel about Tom Holland, right? So,
Right.
I truthfully, I would put it like there, maybe, like above Blade 1. So here's the thing with the second one. The second one is the first time I had been impressed by CGI in a long time. He faces Electro, and the way they do his fucking, for me, I think it was better than Ant-Man. I would say it was. I mean, I would put it like there, truthfully. Like, maybe higher than fucking Thor, even. So the first one was 72 and 77. So this one did not do well. So I'm willing to put it, I think it's like at least here. Now we get into the juicy. I mean, I think you already know how I feel about these movies, right?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I mean, that's our childhood right there.
What? Audience, what are you doing? Okay, this is being influenced by a bunch of Zoomers. Y'all Gen Zers need to relax, okay? You fucking coming in here, you're watching your 2002 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man with your fucking Tom Holland lens glasses on, and you're saying, this fucking movie sucks. Okay, no, fuck you. We didn't have jack shit for superhero movies in 2002, alright? When Spider-Man came out, we didn't have dick. We had fucking 2 dusty fucking cassette tapes of fucking, like, the old school superhero, like, Superman movie, and then we had fucking Batman and Robin, alright? Like, so give us a break. And the first Blade movie, apparently. This movie was, see, the critics, this is why the critics are critics. Y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about sometimes.
You have been so flip-floppy through this entire list.
Me?
Yeah.
How am I flip-flopping?
Three fucking movies ago, you were slamming on the critics so fucking hard.
Oh yeah, well obviously I'm agreeing with whoever agrees with me is obviously right. But I do think genuinely in this instance, this is a bad score.
I will say that definitely seems influenced by a crowd that
didn't see it originally. Like, this feels like somebody going back, and because I would agree that it probably does not stand up. In fact, this scene right here that it's showing is like literally the worst scene that it could be showing.
I would put that lower than Avengers and probably even Hellboy.
The first Spider-Man?
Yeah. While it was iconic, I enjoyed it. It was amazing.
Oh man,
sequel.
dude,
it just...
I can't put it below Hellboy. I'll put it below Age of Ultron, maybe. I'm definitely not putting it below Endgame. This is like... This is the setup. This is fucking... Bro, this is every Spider-Man meme ever. Are you kidding me? With great power comes great responsibility. So, are you gonna push me on this one? Do you think it should go lower still?
I'll accept it right there.
I'll just say it. Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero movie.
I would tie them. I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the
other.
other.
Hear me out, right? They're two different types of epic, right? Because one is in and of itself, the story starts and ends within this movie told is fucking awesome. But this is like the culmination of the MCU universe, right? So this is like, this is 10 years of them building this universe to have this happen. This is a singularly good, really, really good movie. So I would even say I would put it lower, even just slightly, just based on that fact, like that Avengers had to have in order for this movie to even happen. All these other movies had to happen.
We do have a criteria for S tier that we have to check before we can definitively say.
There's no way Spider-Man. If Spider-Man 2, dude, I swear to God, I will come to all of your houses. Dude, y'all are fucking bugging. Okay, the critics at least did justice on this one.
It definitely meets criteria, but
y'all are bugging.
Doc Ock and Spider-Man is, in my opinion, like...
It's so good that they made it the highlight of the fucking trailer of the new Spider-Man movie. That's how good it was. You also got to think about the fact that, like, alongside of this, right? Spider-Man 2, the game came out. And that was like really so not only were we getting the first like real superhero movies, we were getting the first real superhero games where it was actually functional and you could actually go around the city and move and do stuff. And I think that's part of what made the nostalgia and the hype around those Spider-Mans so much, right? Because anyone that was a kid in our age, we watched those movies and we played that game.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like that's a good position for 2.
Now 3, you're gonna fucking dumpster this one, and so is Rotten Tomatoes. So let's just get that over with.
3 fucking sucked. All right, I'm a fan of Tobey Maguire. I'm a fan of Topher Grace.
Not as bad as I thought, to be honest with you.
But oh my God, they should not have made Topher Grace fucking. What were you thinking? Like, for real, what were you thinking? Topher Grace is not a good Brock.
Now you're gonna want this movie to be here, right?
I would put it D tier at least.
Now, I would argue for here. Because of how good these two movies are, and my connection with the character in this, I will watch this movie to finish out the trilogy of these movies.
I wouldn't give it a straight F, because it did tell a compelling story. It did have good CGI for the time, and it was captivating.
Well, I mean, look at the movies it's in the tier with right now, though.
You wanna talk about fucking Spider-Man memes? Let's talk about.
I'm not fighting. Look, I'm not fighting for A tier. Okay, look, yeah, I'm saying it's in here next to Megamind and Catwoman, right?
Listen, as much as you think Ryan Reynolds destroyed Blade Trinity,
Grace destroyed
like 10
way harder. Okay. Well, it's after Blade Trinity. You want to do Venom real quick? Since we just did the Spider-Mans.
Yeah, we might as well round it out.
This is a pretty meh movie to me.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed this choice of actor for Venom.
Oh yeah, I think the actor choice is great. I think the acting is great. I think the story and I think everything else is. Let's just do some adjusting right now. Let's just. How do you feel? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think
we've been too generous.
Yeah, I think. I think that's a little bit more fair.
Move Far From Home and Ant-Man and the Wasp down to the top of the beats here. I feel.
Yeah, I haven't really felt good about them being in A either. And where Venom is, not as good as Far From Home.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what.
Hey.
Ooh. Well, what a change up, right? What the hell? I think this is the most drastic difference we've seen. How you out here rating Venom higher than the fucking original Spider-Man movies? I fucking hate you guys.
Here's